Okay, Bezrat Hashem Yitbarach. So we are continuing on Daf Daled Amud Aleph Masechet Sanhedrin, and we're continuing the topic of Yesh Em Lamikra, Yesh Em Lamasoret. Okay, what does that mean? That we spoke about yesterday how Yesh Em Lamikra means we read it. It's the way we read it that we do the drasha. Okay, and Yesh Em Lamasoret is the way that it's written. So we spoke about, I believe we had 4 different opinions so far that were speaking about how these different Rabbanim hold Yesh Em Lamikra. Okay, so we had Rebbe, like we mentioned, okay, yesterday, Rabbi Yehuda ben Roetz, Bet Shammai, Rabbi Shimon, and Rabbi Akiva. So those were 5. And yesterday we got up to we finished Bet Shammai, I think. Okay. So we did Bet Shammai, and now we're up to Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon is going to be 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 lines on top of where it starts getting wide. Okay, Daf Daled Amud Aleph. Rabbi Shimon, how do we know that Rabbi Shimon is in agreement with this concept of Yesh Em Lamikra? Detanya, Shtaim Kilchatan, Ushlishit Afilu Tefach. In regards to Sukkah, when we're talking about the Sukkah, so we know that there's Halacha, how many walls do we have to have? So Rabbi Shimon, Tanya, it says in the Baita, you need 2 full walls, okay? Ushlishit Afilu Tefach, and the third wall even a Tefach. Rabbi Shimon Omer, Shalosh Kilchatan, Urvi'it Afilu Tefach. So he says, no, you need 3 full walls and then an extra Tefach on top of that. But my kamifige, what's going to be the argument on? Rabbanan Svire, Rabbanan hold Yesh Em Lamasoret. Rabbi Shimon Savar Yesh Em Lamikra. Okay, and we're going to explain how that happens. Rabbanan Svire Yesh Em Lamasoret. Basukot, or let me say, Basukot. Hare kan arba. Why? Because once again, Basukat is written without a vav. Basukat, in a different pasuk, it's written again without a vav, and then it's written Basukot with a vav. So that means Basukot with a vav is going to be the plural, okay, which is 2, and then you had 1 and 1, 2. So that's going to be a total of 4. Dal chad ka legufei. So we remove one of them for the fact that you need walls, right? And that's going to be relevant to what we learned also 2 days ago, that we were saying that the first pasuk
was not a shofet.
No, that the first pasuk is always used on its own.
Right, so it was not a shofet.
Okay, it's not used to tell me. It's not used to make another drasha. So it's called dorshin techilot or lo dorshin techilot. Do we make the first time that the Torah brings it? Do we make a drasha on it or not? Okay, so he says basukot. There's 4. Okay, you remove 1, you're left with 3. Hare kan arba dar echad ka legufei. You need to remove 1 for the actual halacha of having a wall. Pashulehu tlat, you're left with 3. Atai hilcheta ga'ata lishlishit ve'okimta atefach. And then there's a halacha leMoshe Misina that comes, and that tells us that one of the walls, meaning the third wall, the last wall, is enough if it's only a tefach. So yes, technically in the Torah it's written 3, but then on top of the whatever number is going to be written in the Torah, a halacha Moshe Misina says that the last wall is sufficient to be even only a tefach. Rabbi Shimon Savar, Basukot, Hare kan 6. So he says, how do we read it? We read it maleh. We read it as if there's a vav in all 3 cases. Right? So, how many do we have? Basukot.
6.
We have 6. Now, obviously we don't have 6 walls. Right? So how does it actually work? So he says, Dal chad ka legufei, pashuluhu arba. Now when I'm going to say en dorshin techilot, right, that I remove the first one for the drasha, what happens?
Sukkot, 4.
So I take off one of the sukkot. which is going to be, I take off 1 2s.
Yeah, we took out the first one, you're left with Sukkot.
I'm left with
Sukkot.
4. Okay, because again, Sukkot is going to be plural. 2 times 2 is going to be 4. Ata hilcheta, the halacha leMoshe miSinai comes, gar'ata lerevi'it ve'okme atefach. It's going to take off the 4th one and establish it to be tefach.
So basically, Rabbi Shimon says, Yesh em lamasoret, that we should read it Sukkot.
No. Again, what's Yesh em lamikra?
You read it just the way it is.
Likrot.
Just
Meaning,
the way it is, Besukkah.
Meaning the way I read it is the way the drasha is going to be.
It's not the way you read it like it's written in the text.
What's written in the text, that's going to be masoret.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. We spoke about this
So
yesterday.
Besukkot is la masoret.
Exactly.
And if you read it Sukkot is la mikra. Okay.
Exactly.
So Rabbi Shimon.
Rabbi Shimon, we see very clearly, is in the opinion that it says Yesh em la mikra, because he says Sukkot, not Sukkot.
Sorry. That's
Rabbi Shimon says Yesh em
Sukkot.
Yesh em la mikra.
This is la masoret.
Mikra. Again, mikra. What's
so
mikra?
Confusing. La mikra.
No. So mikra, what is mikra? Likro et ha'alen, right? So it's the way you read it.
Yeah.
Yesh em la mikra. That means we are doresh. We give the drasha based on how you read it.
Yeah, but you don't read it.
How do you read it?
To Yesh em
No,
la mikra,
how do you read it? Do you read it Sukkot or Sukkat?
Yeah, in my head, you read it the way it's written. So you read it, you pronounce it Sukkot.
It is confusing in the beginning, but Bezat Hashem as you...
Yesh em la mikra.
Exactly, because you read it Sukkot. That's going to be 6. Remove 1 is going to be 1 times 2 is going to be, you're going to be left with 4. Halacha leMoshe miSinai comes, says the last wall, the 4th wall can be 1. No, has to be at least a tefach.
Not less than 1 tefach.
Not less than 1 tefach. Yes. And Chachamim, they say Yesh em la masoret, so they're going to say that it's going to be 3. It's going to be 4, sorry. Sukkot. You remove 1, Sukkot, you're left with 3, and then the last one is going to be a tefach. Okay, so that's Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Akiva, how do we know that Rabbi Akiva holds Yesh em lamikra? Detanya, Rabbi Akiva omer, minayin lerevi'i dam shiyatz'a mishne metim shemitame be'ohel. So we have a concept of tumat ohel. What's tumat ohel? If there's a dead body under a roof, everything that's under the roof becomes tameh. Of course, there are exceptions. We're not going to go into that now. Now, the same thing applies if there's a kazait of a met, okay, or even a revi'it of blood. Now, says Rabbi Akiva, not only if it's a revi'it of blood. Why do we need a revi'it of blood? Sorry. Why do we need a revi'it of blood? Because revi'it of blood, this is the chayut of the person. Right. Less than that, it's not chayut. It's not going to be considered met. Okay? So now, if I have, Rabbi Akiva says, if I have half a revi'it from this person, half a revi'it from this person, then it's going to be mitzaref, it's going to join together, and it's going to make it asur.
Tameh.
Everything tameh. Okay? So he says, Rabbi Akiva omer, minayin לרביעי דם שיצא משני מתים שמטמא באוהל, שנאמר, על כל נפשות מת לא יבוא. What's nafshot? 2. So, and then what does it say right afterwards?
שתי נפשות.
Met. שתי נפשות met. Which means that 2 nafshot can be mitzaref to 1 met. Meaning to say that if half a revi'it and half a revi'it combine, there's going to be 2 ma. So he says, nafshot לא יבוא, שתי נפשות ושיעור אחד.
שתי נפשות ושיעור אחד.
So, שתי נפשות, you have 2, it's written 2 times nafshot, meaning it's two different bloods, v'shiur echad, and it's going to be 1 shiur.
So half.
And that's going to be enough to be metameh. Rabbanan say no. Nafshat ketiv. When you read it in the Torah, how is it written? It's written nafshat, not nafshot. So he says it needs to be revi'it from 1 person.
It needs to be a full רביעית one בזה. ולקח עובדים מדברים ודברו ונתן וקרם. Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
מתקיף לה רב אחא בר יעקב, מי איכא דלת לי יש אם למקרא? So Rav Acha bar Yaakov now asks a question. He says, wait a second. Is there even one opinion that exists that doesn't agree and that doesn't hold of Yesh Em Lamikra? Everyone agrees, he says. Everyone agrees that Yesh Em Lamikra. How do we know that? How do we know that? He says, V'hatanya, because it says in a Braita, B'chalev imo yachol b'chelev Amart. Yesh em lamikra. So he says, we know that in the Torah, when it talks about basar b'chalav, when it talks about milk and meat, what does it say? Lo tevashel kedi b'chalev imo. Chalev, what's chalav? Milk, right? But the same exact spelling, without changing anything, is what? Chelev, the fat. So says Rav Acha bar Yaakov, and he's actually quoting the Braita, he says, wait a second. It says in the Torah, it's written chelev. How do I know to read it chalav? Meaning, if I'm going to say yesh em lamasoret, then it's very possible that it's chelev imo, the fat of the mother, and cooking it in milk would be permitted.
How do we know? There's no nekudot.
Yeah, but how would you normally write chelev? If in the whole Torah, how is chelev written? Like that. Like that.
Yeah, but that's also the way we write chalav. So how do we know which one has a precedence on the other one?
Because it would make a little bit more sense to say chelev. Why? Because it's an actual part of it as opposed to something external. No, the truth is no. The truth is no, because it's also chalev imot. So it's talking about, but both of them are meats, right? So it would make more sense that we would talk about two types of meat as opposed to one meat and something completely else. So how do we know that it's that really the Torah is b'chalav b'chalev imo? He says yesh em. Amat yesh em lamikra. So from here we see that everyone holds yesh em lamikra, because everyone agrees that it's chalav is going to be asur. That means everyone has to agree with this concept of yesh em lamikra, right? Ela. So he says rather, kuli alma yesh em lamikra. Okay, so everyone agrees yesh em lamikra. If so, we're going to have to go back to all the 5 cases that we brought down and explain how they're arguing without getting into the argument of yesh em lamikra, yesh em lamasoret.
Yes, but if you consider that the word really is chalav, then yesh lamasoret, then yesh em lamasoret, and then you need to go back and explain all of them why they.
Again, masoret is going to tell me chelev. Mikra.
That's what I'm saying.
What's the halacha? Are you allowed to cook meat and fat together, or you're not allowed to cook milk and meat?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you just said because we know that it's a sort to cook meat with milk of its mother, or with the milk. Then we know that it's chalev.
It's chalav.
No, we know that we think that the text is chalev, but we read it chalav. So yesh em lamikra. That's what you said.
Not really. That's an extra step that you added.
I thought that's what you said.
Again, everyone knows white on black that what? Yesh, sorry. Lo tevashel gedi b'chalev imo. That you ask a child, the child is going to tell you b'chalev, meaning what? B'chalev, not chelev. Lo tevashel gedi b'chalev, chalev. Not chelev, chalev, imo. Okay? Now, every child is going to tell you that it means what?
Don't cook in milk.
Milk and meat. You can't cook milk and meat together.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's going to be yesh em lamikra. Why is that going to be yesh em lamikra? Because everyone reads it chalav. That's how you read it. right?
No, but I thought the Yesh Em Lamikra means that we read it like that, but it's written differently.
So yes,
That's the extra step that I'm
so
adding?
that's it. So exactly, because over here, since regardless of how you write it, it's written the same way.
Okay. So you can say Yesh
Chalev and
Em
chelev
Lamikra.
is the same thing. But if you're gonna say yesh em lamasoret, then it's very possible to read it bechelev imo, with the fat of its mother, not chalev with the milk.
Unless you say that the original text was Chalev, and you read Yesh Chalev, so Yesh Em Lamasoret.
Again, no.
So you're saying there's no way that the text
What's mikra? What's mikra?
is to read, but I understand it's the way you
Okay.
pronounce it.
Again, so that means that however I'm going to pronounce it, that's going to define mikra. So you can't say that it was the opposite, and then because we changed it,
I
you can't.
thought the Yesh Em either Lamasoret or Lamikra is because you change.
No.
From Bana
Yesh
to Bana.
yesh em la mikra is fixed. That means what? This is how we read it.
Okay, I understand. If it's written Diber and you read Diber,
Davar.
no, if it's written Diber and you read Diber, you can say Yesh Em Lamikra?
No, that's again that won't be a yesh em la mikra because that's right away, that's very simple. If it's written davar and you read it and everyone the whole Torah reads it diber, that would be the diber would be yesh em la mikra. Davar would be masoret. Okay, because that's how it's written. Meaning the way it's written is the masoret. The way it's read is the mikra.
But because there are no nekudot, we don't know how it's written for real.
We know how it's written and we know how it's read. We know both of them. The question is which way are we going to make the drasha? Are we going to make the drasha based on the reading, or are we going to make the drasha based on the writing? That's the question. Because everyone agrees how it's written, this is how it's written, and everyone agrees how it's read is how it's read. That there's no question about. The question is, which one are we going to do the drasha on? Mm-hmm. So if you're doing the drasha on the way we read it, that's em la mikra. If you're doing the drasha on the way it's written, that's masoret. Okay?
Now we're saying...
So, having said that everyone agrees to yesh em la mikra, now we have the five arguments that we were talking about, that when we need to explain now differently than we previously explained, because we previously explained that the machloket was yesh em la mikra, yesh em la masoret. Now we have to explain how really both of them agree that it's yesh em la mikra, but why does the other opinion argue?
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Okay?
So we're going to go back on all of them?
So, he says, Ela, top line, Daled Amud Bet. Ela dekuli alma yesh em la mikra. Ve'Rebbi ve'Rabanan behaka mifliki. What are Rebbe and Rabbanan arguing on? Rebbe savar yarshi'un Elohim achrini. Ve'Rabbanan savri yarshi'un dehe'ach. So, when we're using the pasuk of yarshi'un is how much?
It's true.
Is going to be 2, right? So Rebbe, when he says that, Rebbe, what was the machloket? Rebbe said we needed 5, right? And Chachamim said we need 2 plus 1.
Yeah.
Okay, or more accurately, Rebbe said we needed 4 plus 1, and Chachamim said we needed 2 plus 1. Why? Because originally we said because it depends on how you're going to learn the word yarshi'un. Is yarshi'un double, and then on top is going to be double as well? That makes 4. Or is yarshi'un 1, and then the other one is going to be the other one is going to be 1 as well, 2 as well, and then we add another one so that it should be odd number. Now they both agree that yarshi'un is really 2. So if so, how can Chachamim say that there's only 2 and not 4 like Rebbe? Because they say that when the Torah is coming the second time and saying Yarshi'un for 2, it's coming to tell me the 2 that we were talking about before, meaning the same 2. They are going to be doing the judgment. And Rabbi Yehuda says no. when the Torah adds the second time Yarshi'un, it's coming to add me two to the original two. Okay?
Either with 2 or with 4.
So they both agree Yesh Em Lamikra. They both agree that Yarshi'un means 2. But one opinion is going to say it's referring to the 2 of previous, and we don't add 2. And Rebbe is going to say no, it means another 2, and you're going to add 2 to the 2, and that's going to give you 4, and you add a fifth.
Okay.
C'est bon?
That's what they had said.
No, that's what we're changing now. Again, back on the Gimel Amud Bet on the bottom.
Qui c'est qui était d'accord déjà avec Yesh Em Lamikra?
Rebbe was the one that said Yesh Em Lamikra. How did Rebbe say Yesh Em Lamikra?
And they would read it Yarshi'an.
Exactly. Rabbanan. Rebbe said it says Yarshi'un.
Right.
Yarshi'un is
Which
plural,
is 2, so 2
which is
plus
2. It's
plus
going to be
1.
2 plus 2. Right?
So he's not going to change. Now we're changing Rabbanan because Yesh
No,
Em
but
Lamikra.
we're also changing a little bit his reasoning. Because based on what they're arguing, based on what Chachamim are arguing on him, we have to make that fit. If we're going to keep the same exact argument and just change Chachamim, that won't work so well in our case. So what did we do? We said that Chachamim, originally what did they say? Well, they said that Yarshi'un is written Yarshi'an, is referring to 1. Okay, and then you had 1 before, so then it's going to be okay. Now they're saying they agree that Yarshi'un is referring to 2. Okay, so if it's referring to 2, why don't they agree to Rebbe that it's going to be 4 in total? 2 plus 2.
Yeah.
Okay, so they say because when the Torah is coming to teach me,
This one didn't matter.
no, when the Torah is coming to teach me that it has to be Yarshi'un, it has to be in the plural, it only means to say that it's referring to the previous one that we mentioned. That means that we're not adding 2, it's only 2. Okay? And Rabbi Yehuda is coming then and says, no, the Torah is adding 2.
So even when they disagreed.
They still have the same disagreement.
They disagreed on Yesh Em Lamikra, Yesh Em Masor.
No.
Now even if you tell them no, Yesh Em Lamikra, they still find a way to disagree on how to interpret the Yesh Em Lamikra.
So that's not that's a little bit different, and that changes it. Again, at the end of the day, they both argue.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they argue. The fact is they argue. Now we were trying originally to do is find why are they arguing. Are they arguing because of Yesh Em Lamikra or Yesh Em Lamasoret? Okay, and then we ended up saying that what?
Yesh Em Lamikra.
That they both agree Yesh Em Lamikra. So if so,
argue.
why were their opinions different?
So we're not trying to make them agree. We know they argue.
We never were trying to agree and make them agree.
It's how do they interpret either Yesh Em Lamikra or Yesh Em Masoret? Now, no, it's Yesh Em Lamikra, but how do they interpret each?
Exactly. How does each one inside Yesh Em Lamikra? How do they interpret their different opinions? That's what it's doing, and that's what it's going to do for the next 4. Okay. So דכולי עלמא יש אם למקרא, ורבי ורבנן בהכא מפלגי. רבי סבר ירשיעון כתיב, ירשיעון אלוהים אחריני, another 2 judges. ורבנן סברי ירשיעון דהאח, that it's referring to the 2 of now, meaning these 2 are going to be the ones that are דהאח והי. So it's going to be these 2 that we're talking about. Okay? And we're not adding on another one. Okay? We'll stop here. Bezrat Hashem. Amen ve'amen.